How is Melly holding up?
He's doing really good. He's always in great spirits.
When can we expect Melly to come home?
May.
She says May. But if they pick a jury fast, he could be home.
Yes.
Like late April.
Hey.
Free Melly.
But here it is, YNW, they think, man, he should be let go. Free Dirt, free Queso. These are killers. But I'm wrong for saying Gilly son. Yeah. Now, I hope they get his kid life. I hope he never gets out of prison.
Jamie Demon's mom, the mother of YNW Melly, just dropped a message saying her son is coming home, and the internet went wild instantly. People started celebrating, arguing, and guessing all at once. But those two words don't automatically mean what everyone thinks they do. Not long ago, a criminal lawyer reacted to Bortland's plea deal, pointing out how serious it was. A man from that car, someone who knew everything, finally folding under pressure. It felt like the case was closing in. But then April 15th, 2026 hit, and one Instagram story flipped the whole energy online overnight. That post came straight from Melly's mom, Jamie Demon's King, and what she wrote? Just two simple words: Melly comin'. That's it. No explanation, no details, nothing extra, just enough to send the entire rap world into chaos. But before running with that idea, it's important to understand how heavy this moment really is. This didn't come out of nowhere. This is tied to 7 long years. 7 years of waiting, stress, and a young man sitting in a Broward County jail without a conviction, without a final verdict, just stuck in limbo. Melly, born Jamel Demons on May 1st, 1999 in Florida, grew up in a tough situation from the start. His mom was only 14 when she had him, just a kid raising a kid. His father wasn't around, money was tight, and moving place to place was normal. Stability? That wasn't part of his world at all. By the time Jamel really understood the world around him, the streets had already stepped in as his teacher. He got tied in with the Bloods early, and trouble came fast. Around 15 or 16, he was arrested after a shooting near Vero Beach High School, leading to serious charges like aggravated battery and firing a weapon in public. He ended up spending about a year in juvenile detention. Then in 2017, a probation violation sent him right back behind bars again. But here's what stands out. While locked up, while most teens are just trying to get through each day, he was focused on music. Jamel was recording tracks from inside and dropped an EP called Collect Call in late 2017, straight from jail. That's when YNW Melly really started to take shape. Once he got out in March 2018, he moved fast, no hesitation. Songs started dropping back to back. Virtual, Blue Balenciagas, Melly the Menace, Butter Pecan, Medium Fries. The views shot up into the millions, and the buzz got louder every week. Then came the moment that changed everything. Murder on My Mind. The track blew up, hitting number 14 on the Billboard Hot 100 and going 8 times platinum. That success led to a deal with 300 Entertainment and pushed him into the spotlight as one of rap's fastest rising names. By early 2018, he had over 200 million streams on Spotify and millions of monthly listeners, putting him right next to names like Juice WRLD and Kodak Black as one of the hottest new artists in the game. Then October 26, 2018 hit, and just like that, everything changed. While the momentum was still building and his career was taking off, something went down in Miramar, Florida that stopped it all cold. Anthony Williams, known as YNW Sack Chaser, 21, and Christopher Thomas Jr., known as YNW Juvie, 19, were both shot and killed that night. They weren't just crew members, they were close to Melly, like family, part of the same YNW circle. 4 people were in that car: Melly, Bortland, who was driving, Sack Chaser in the front seat, and Juvie in the back. Both victims were hit multiple times: head, torso, legs, 8 shots total, all from a .40 caliber handgun. This wasn't random, it was serious. Bortland drove them to Memorial Hospital in Miramar and told police it was a drive-by shooting from another vehicle. That was the story he gave, but investigators quickly started questioning it. Interrogation audio from that night shows Bortland explaining his version of events to detectives, sticking to that claim. But law enforcement wasn't convinced at all. They locked down the area, searched everything step by step, and found nothing. No shell casings, no broken glass, no signs of a drive-by anywhere. The story started falling apart fast.
Okay, so with everything that's going on, like with YNW Melly, how are they taking this? Well, how have they been taking it?
They've been doing really well, to say the least. You know, we're all very positive always, and you know, we have God in our life, so we trust God through all things, and it really helps. You know, we're pretty close. So
you and your family, like the whole family, is really close.
Yeah.
So
Melly has so much support.
yeah. So what about the rest of your family? Like cousins, aunts, uncles?
So my mom, of course, is everything. You know, she's an amazing mom and grandma. And then his great grandma is still alive. So she's super supportive. Aunts, everybody they love him.
No way. Nah, that's crazy, bro. What the fuck?
The detective kept pushing hard because the forensic evidence was telling a completely different story. Every projectile traced back to inside the Jeep, mainly from the left rear seat, right where Melly was sitting. That drive-by claim, it wasn't just shaky, it didn't even make sense physically. The victim's injuries didn't match that story at all. Investigators also found a spent shell casing still inside the Jeep, already bagged up, pointing to a possible cleanup attempt. And then came the messages. Just hours after the incident, when someone asked him on Instagram how he was doing, Melly allegedly replied, "I did that and shall." More messages surfaced too, talking about Bortland's loyalty and hinting at what happened that night. On February 13th, 2019, both Melly and Bortland were arrested and charged with 2 counts each of first-degree premeditated murder. Melly was only 19, and from that moment, he hasn't stepped outside of Broward County Jail, not once, for 7 straight years. Prosecutors argued that Melly was the shooter, pointing to possible motives like money issues and distance growing between the group, plus claims tied to gang status. They said Bortland helped stage the scene, mislead police, and cover things up. Both of them pleaded not guilty. The first trial didn't happen until June 2023, almost 5 years later. Prosecutors even pushed for the death penalty. After weeks of testimony and expert breakdowns, the jury couldn't agree. Reports said the split leaned toward lesser charges, but not enough to convict. On July 22nd, 2023, a mistrial was declared, meaning Melly made it through round 1, but he was still locked up with no end in sight.
The retrial kept getting pushed back again and again. Delays stacked on delays. Evidence fights, defense motions, prosecution appeals. Every new court date just turned into another setback. Then, in August 2025, things got even crazier when the retrial was moved all the way to January 2027, almost 8 years after his arrest. So when Jamie Demons King posted Melly coming on April 15th, 2026, it didn't come out of nowhere. Something had been building behind the scenes. After watching her son sit in a cell for over 7 years, she clearly felt like something had finally shifted. But what exactly changed? What made her say that now? And is this actually real or just another moment that gets people hopeful in a case that's already drained so many? Those questions started spreading fast. Behind all the emotion, there's been real movement in the case over the past year. Not just rumors, actual legal developments that started opening a door that had been shut for years. Go back to September 9th, 2025, the day before Bortland's trial was supposed to start. That's when things took a sharp turn. Cortland Malik Henry, known as YNW Bortland, shocked everyone watching the case. He took a deal. On September 9th, 2025, just 1 day before his trial was set to begin, Bortland took a plea deal in the Broward County double murder case, and it shocked everyone watching it. This was someone who had stood solid for years, facing the exact same charges as Melly, refusing to switch up no matter how much pressure came his way.
For over 6 years, he stayed quiet, even as prosecutors kept pushing harder and stacking the case against him. It looked like he would ride it out to the end. But right before trial, he changed course. Here's how the deal played out. Bortland pleaded no contest to 2 counts of accessory after the fact to first-degree murder, plus 2 charges tied to a 2023 witness tampering situation. In return, the state dropped the murder charges completely. He was sentenced to 10 years in prison, followed by 6 years of probation. With more than 2,400 days already served, his remaining time dropped to about 3.5 years, with a projected release date of January 6, 2032. But the real twist wasn't just the sentence, it was what came with it. As part of the deal, Bortland agreed to a proffer, meaning he would sit down with prosecutors and give a full, truthful account of everything he knows. Legal voices jumped on this instantly. Criminal lawyer Bruce Rivers reacted in real time, breaking down what Bortland stood to gain versus what he risked by talking. And the big question hit hard. What does this mean for Melly? One legal analyst broke it all down during a long live stream, calling it a gun plea, a term that caught a lot of attention because of how serious it sounds. The logic was simple but heavy. When someone pleads to accessory after the fact in a murder case, they're admitting a murder happened and that they helped someone connected to it.
So even if Bortland never takes the stand and points fingers, that plea alone already tells a story. It puts a narrative on record without a full trial moment. The judge made it clear during the hearing. The deal was locked in, and the proffer was part of it. That meant Bortland had to cooperate and explain what he knows. The courtroom made that point loud and clear. Then came the charges, read out one after another, life sentence stacked on life sentence. The pressure he was under was massive. Before the deal, he was facing up to 4 life sentences plus 75 years. That kind of time changes everything. When you're looking at that kind of future, a 10-year sentence with credit for over 6 years already served starts to look like a way out. So the deal got signed and the proffer became official. But then things started shifting on Melly's side, and fast. By January 2026, prosecutors suddenly dropped several charges against him, including witness tampering, gang-related counts, and solicitation. That move caught a lot of people off guard. Melly's new legal team, Drew Findling and Carol Horwath, didn't downplay those drop charges at all. They called them major. According to the defense, these weren't small technical issues. They straight up said those counts were no crimes.
They used that momentum to push harder, building a new strategy to finally get him out of that jail cell. Then, in March 2026, his attorneys made a bold move. They filed for pretrial release and requested what's known as an Arthur hearing, a serious legal step used to challenge detention in major cases. The motion pointed to new evidence and also called out the jail conditions, describing them as harsh and dehumanizing. This wasn't the first try either. It was his 4th attempt to get bond in this entire case, 4 times asking for release and 4 times being denied. Then came March 31st, 2026. Melly was scheduled for a court appearance, but he didn't show up. Whether that was strategy, frustration, or something else, nobody got a clear answer. Still, the judge didn't slow things down. A new date was locked in, April 30th, 2026 at 9:30 a.m. in front of Judge Martin S. Fine. That hearing is set to decide everything around bond and the pending motions. If the judge says yes, Melly could walk out under strict rules, house arrest, monitoring, tight restrictions. But if it's denied, he stays right where he's been, locked up until the retrial in January 2027. That April 30th court date was getting close, and that's the exact moment when Jamie Demons King picked up her phone and posted those words on April 15th, 2026. The timing wasn't random at all.
But here's what people need to understand. Those viral claims saying Melly's release was officially announced, that's not true. What she posted was vague, more like a hopeful signal than a confirmed update. There was no date, no paperwork, no statement from his lawyers, nothing locked in. It was just a mother speaking from emotion after years of watching her son sit behind bars, finally feeling like something might be changing. That energy spread fast online. Media outlets like Hot New Hip Hop and Hot 97 treated it as a hint, not a fact. But once social media got involved, it turned into a full-blown headline, and the story took on a life of its own. Now, here's the part that really matters. This hope didn't come from nowhere. For the first time in a long time, there are actual signs backing it up. Charges dropped in January weakened the case, and the new defense team, including Drew Findling, brought serious firepower to the strategy. And that April 30th hearing, that's huge. It gives a judge the chance to look at everything, the years he's already spent locked up, the current state of the case, and decide if keeping him there without trial still makes sense. In October 2025, the 4th District Court of Appeal ruled that certain pre-murder text messages would stay out of the retrial. That decision could seriously weaken what prosecutors can present in court.
Then there's the lawsuit filed in November 2024 where Melly accused the Broward Sheriff's Office of cruel treatment after spending over 2,800 days locked up without a conviction. That number alone says a lot. After years of delays, denied bond requests, and nonstop legal battles, the pressure has been building. And that's the moment his mother spoke out, dropping those words that sent the internet into a frenzy. But here's the truth, it's not simple. Right now, Jamel Demons is in a stronger legal spot than he's been in years, but he's still facing life in prison at the same time. That tension is real. To understand what happens next, everything comes back to the evidence, especially the forensics, because that's the core of the case and what his defense has to challenge head on. All 8 shots fired that night came from inside the vehicle, every single one. Trajectory analysis pointed right to Melly's seat, and investigators found a spent shell casing already bagged inside the Jeep. One victim even had stippling, gunpowder burns that only happen at very close range. That kind of distance doesn't line up with a drive-by at all. In a drive-by situation, that level of proximity just doesn't happen. It's physically impossible. Even Melly's former defense attorney admitted the evidence was tough to deal with.
Yo, stop what you doing. You don't see who they just freed? Yes, sir. Welcome home, Melly.
Investigators believe the victims were already gone before the shots meant to stage the drive-by were fired, meaning the whole scene was set up to tell a different story. That claim hit hard. During the first trial, the defense focused on creating reasonable doubt, not proving innocence, but showing the prosecution didn't fully prove its case. And it almost worked. 3 jurors didn't agree, leading to a mistrial. But things changed when Bortland started cooperating. As the driver, he's a key figure. His statement could line up with the forensic evidence and answer major questions, like exactly where Melly was sitting when those shots were fired.
Now that Bortland's case is resolved and double jeopardy applies, he can't use the Fifth Amendment anymore, meaning he can be forced to testify at the retrial. That changes everything in a big way. Attorney John Phillips, who represents one of the victims' families, explained just how serious that is. Before the plea, Bortland could sit on the stand, stay silent, and protect himself. That silence created a barrier around Melly. But now, that wall is gone completely. Still, one major question hasn't gone away, and that's motive. Why would Melly, during a time when his music career was blowing up, turn on people close to him?
Different theories have been floating around. There were claims about personal conflicts, including messages sent to his girlfriend. Others pointed to money issues, with reports saying the victims were earning more and starting to move differently. There were also rumors tied to gang status, suggesting the situation could have been connected to advancement within the G-Shine group. But none of these explanations have fully answered that big question: why? None of those theories have ever been fully proven, and during the first trial, that missing clear motive was a big reason why 3 jurors weren't convinced at all. Even the lead defense attorney from that trial admitted something important. The state had strong points, but it also had gaps. That balance is what kept the case from being a clean win. And here's the thing, the defense still hasn't shown everything yet. With Drew Findling now leading the case, expectations are different. This is a lawyer known for stepping in prepared and switching strategies when it counts. New arguments are likely coming, and that October 2025 ruling blocking certain text messages could give the defense a real edge going into the 2027 retrial.
But outside the courtroom, the conversation gets messy. The rap community isn't united on this anymore. It's split. Since 2019, Melly has had major support. His music, his age, and claims of unfair treatment all played a role. Hashtag Free Melly turned into something bigger than just a hashtag. It became a full movement with real emotion behind it. Boosie Badass showed up to the 2023 trial and posted support in real time, while Meek Mill even visited Melly in jail and spoke out about his conditions online. Fans went all in too. Some even got Free Melly tattoos, and his streams jumped every time the case hit headlines. But everything shifted when Bortland took that plea. Some analysts called it a gun plea, while others online started clowning him, saying he flipped to save himself. Social media filled up with reactions, and the tone started changing fast. Core supporters still stood behind Melly, no question, but people on the outside, they started looking at it differently. Evidence is evidence, and when someone who was in the car takes a deal and agrees to talk, that changes the situation completely. Even outspoken voices like Charleston White said what a lot of people were already thinking, and it didn't match the energy of the Free Melly side at all. The fact that you've got people showing strong loyalty on one side and heavy criticism on the other says a lot. This case was never just about legal facts. It's bigger than that, touching on deeper issues people keep debating. Some see it as a story about systemic problems, about how tough environments shape outcomes and whether the justice system treats everyone fairly, especially a 19-year-old from Gifford, Florida, who grew up with very little support before any of this even happened. Online, people kept pointing to how long he's been locked up without a conviction. Posts like Melly been locked almost a decade with no conviction spread fast and got major attention. Others went further, comparing his situation to extreme conditions, while voices like Meek Mill kept speaking out about how long pretrial detention can drag on. So where does it all stand right now? As of April 16, 2026, YNW Melly is still in Broward County Jail, over 7 years in pretrial custody on double murder charges, with no release so far. But April 30th, 2026 at 9:30 a.m. is the next big moment. In front of Judge Martin S. Fine, arguments will be made on whether he should be granted bond while waiting for the January 2027 retrial.
His legal team is expected to push hard, bringing up new evidence, drop charges, and calling his jail conditions dehumanizing as they fight to get him out. The state is going to argue one thing loud and clear: a man facing double first-degree murder charges with forensic evidence tying into the scene is too big of a risk to let walk free. That's the position they're standing on. And somewhere in Broward County, his mother already feels like she knows how this is going to play out. That belief is what sparked those viral words in the first place. But nothing here is guaranteed. April 30th could go either way, and January 2027 is even more uncertain. Still, with dropped charges, a new legal team, that appeals court ruling, and Bortland's cooperation hanging over everything, the next year could finally decide it all. This is a man who spent over a quarter of his life locked up, waiting. And at the same time, his music keeps winning, over 10.7 billion streams, with Murder on My Mind closing in on 1 billion alone. Whether he ever records as a free man again comes down to one thing: a judge's decision in that courtroom. 2 words were posted. The internet exploded. Now, all that's left is the wait. If you're following this case, make sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment your thoughts below.